Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a little bit more of a laid back video, kind of get an opportunity to hang out and just show you guys a more relaxed version of what goes on here at the shop. I wanted to do a lure swap, so I reached out to my friend Garrett over at GSauceLureCo on Instagram, and he has an awesome selection of hard baits. We kind of got into this at the same time, and I said, hey, would you send over some S-cranks? Send me 2 of them. I'll send you 2 of them back. And we'll just do a little bit of a lure swap and kind of hang out, and it'll give a good opportunity to paint some baits and just try something new. So he sent over a box of baits. I have opened it. He sent me some fabric mesh to use as a stencil. So when I opened the box, I just pulled the mesh out. I haven't actually looked at these. These are upside down because I didn't want to spoil the moment for here on the video. So obviously he sent me more than S-cranks because there are bags in here, which doesn't surprise me. If you know him, that's just how we are. So I'm going to send him more than 2 S-cranks back, but this is just going to be an opportunity to take a look at what he sent. So this is an awesome bladed jig. This is probably my favorite skirt on a bladed jig that I've seen him make. It's like a holographic in black. This is pretty sweet. Let's see if we can get this thing out of here. I love the skirts on these. Like, that is such a cool skirt. Look at how much light that reflects. That is freaking sweet. Awesome skirt. 10 out of 10 on that. And I've got something coming up that'll make a great trailer for that as well. We have another bladed jig. This one looks to be a green pumpkin and black, green pumpkin and blue. Very nice. That's also going to work really good. This is a color that I don't have, so that'll just add to the arsenal a little bit more. Oh, we have something different here. This is a jerkbait. Looks to be a junior. Yes, that is a junior. That is a 110 junior. Awesome splatter pattern there. That is a pattern that I don't do. I've never actually tried it, so that's pretty cool. And his hooks are awesome. Look how weird the shape is on those hooks. Pretty sweet. Awesome. Now we'll get into the business of what we're actually going to be doing the swap on, which is the S-crank. If you don't know, it is a very popular square bill. So when we talked about it, I said just send me a crawl pattern and send me a shad pattern, and then I will do the same kind of back to you, and we'll just get something to look at. First impressions on the shad pattern is this looks cool. This is the same pattern that I was seeing him paint, which is the reason that I wanted the mesh, because my mesh was not making a pattern like this. And he's got a really good looking dot on it too. Let's pull this one out of here. That is a good solid looking pattern. I'll get some better shots of these baits over here under the light probably, and that way you can get a closer look at them. But that's the shad pattern that we're going with here. And this one is really cool looking, I can already tell. He kind of told me what to expect when he sent it over, and this translucent crawl looks awesome. That's going to catch fish no problem around here. I definitely think that's going to get bit. I already have a spot in mind to throw this, so I think the fishing at the end of this video will go very well with that. So that's that. That's a look at what we got. He sent me, like I said, that mesh, but I'll show you that here in a minute. So we're going to get into painting some S-cranks. I'm going to paint 2 different patterns. The shad pattern I'm going to paint, I've already got it figured out. It's pretty easy. I'll show you it on a glide bait. I painted some of these glides, and they look awesome. So I am going to paint this same pattern onto an S-crank. And if you like this, this is what I call a dream shad. This is what I'm calling this pattern. It has the 8-bit powder in the top, and it looks absolutely amazing. And I'm going to have some of these available on the store if you are into glide baits. This is a 7-inch glide, so a good big fish bait. And we've had some very good luck on these here around the local lakes. So definitely stay tuned for that. So let's get the paint station up and going, and then we'll get some S-cranks going. Okay, you'll have to ignore my messy paint station, but it is what it is right now until I get a booth. This is just how it's going to be. We have some stuff taped to the wall, and it serves the purpose. But the first thing we're going to be doing is putting opaque white on these. This is 2 layers, heat set in between the layers. And all this is the Wicked Opaque White. I got a big thing of it, and you can get it at Hobby Lobby. There is the number there. And I'm not going to bore you with that. I already got that done. So the next step is we're going to paint the crawls first, I think. And I'm going to do a really bright, cool-looking crawl that I got inspiration from online. And we're going to do chartreuse on the bottom part. So that is what that looks like. I'll go ahead and do that for you real quick. And what I'm using for that is just some fluorescent paint from Createx as well. And there is the number, fluorescent yellow, and it works like a charm. So let's see about putting that on here. Really, this is pretty easy. You don't have to be overly careful. I'm just going to put some down the side of this bait here. Try not to make a huge mess. And what I've noticed with this is I like to do 2 coats because it's a little bit thin with 1 coat. And if you try to put it on too heavy, you'll get it to run. We're just going to go down it like this. See if I can grab that. We kind of want our overspray going down. Pretty simple there. Now we'll just give this a little bit of a heat set. And once we get a heat set, I'm just going to do the same coat again. All right, step 2 of this process on this crawl is we're going to turn this into pretty much cherry limeade, which is, this red and chartreuse bottom. So I'm going to use some of this Wicked Opaque Red. Down the top there is the label there in case you need it. And we're just going to go real easy. It's kind of nice having a sponge if you happen to have a sponge to set stuff on or even just to rest your hand on. And then we're just going to work our way down the back. See if we can get some paint on this bait. I've never painted this pattern, but I saw something very similar online, and I liked it. So that's kind of where I got my inspiration at. We need to turn that up just a hair. It's always a game of playing with it till you get it just right. Get a nice fade going on just like that. Try to control your overspray the best you can. If you can get it headed to one side or the other, whichever way is pleasant for you. Get that done, and we'll finish up the other side of this real fast. Much better. Okay, make sure we don't have any thin spots. And then we'll give this a little bit of a heat set, but that is what we're going with. Now I'm going to put some UVLS clear on these so that I can put my stencils on without scratching my paint up. I've got the UVLS clear on these, and as you can tell, they're pretty glossy now. And I'm going to show you why that's so important and something to keep in mind when you order from Lure Build if you're buying stencils. You can see this stencil here is pretty hard. It's rigid. And if you're not careful, this will scratch up the paint on your baits. But this UVLS clear gives it extra protection. It's like a mid layer so that you don't scratch the paint off, because you can easily scratch the paint off with these stencils. And that is kind of why I would recommend not to buy these stencils. Now, here is the alternative. Lure Build also sells stencils like this. They're more expensive, but look at how soft and pliable those stencils are. They don't scratch your paint off. And these are a little bit more, but they are worth every single penny. So definitely consider getting these. They're called a flex stencil, and they are a lot better on your paint, but they are a little bit more expensive, but worth every penny in my book. So I've got that clear coat on these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stencils here, and you can see the number. They also make this same stencil in the flex. I just didn't know this was the first one that I ordered. So definitely put UVLS clear on if you are going to use these hard stencils. It just saves your paint. And now we've got our airbrush turned down on our pressure, and we are just going to put a nice little pattern here on this bait. Turning down the pressure on these fine detail work sure seems to help. But again, I am no airbrush professional. Just going to fill in all these details. Try not to leave any thin spots. I do like how you can see the wet paint on the stencil. That helps. Okay. Now if that's done, you can take the stencil off when it's wet. It doesn't really matter. Just be careful. And then I am going to put some black on the eye there and a little bit black down the back. And that's going to be one good looking crawl after we get some eyes on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do these couple more here and do both sides, and then I'll come back and show you after I get the rest of the detail done. Here's a nice little look at them as the sun goes down outside. I went ahead and put some black down the top and around the eye sockets and slapped some eyes in these things. But yeah, just a really nice bright crawl. I'm going to finish them off with some 2-part epoxy and put some 8-bit color shift in the powder, or in the epoxy I should say, and give the top a little bit of color shift, probably something reddish orange, and we'll just see how they turn out. Okay, doing this shad should be a whole lot easier. So he sent me some of this fabric. I don't know what this fabric is called. I couldn't find any, so I'm really glad that he sent me some. But what we're going to do is wrap it over the top of this bait like this, and then I'm going to put some clamps on it, and then we'll shoot the black over that. So let me grab some clamps real quick. Okay, this is going to be really hard to show, but I've got it clamped up as tight as I can get it with the 4 clamps I got. So I'm just going to grab underneath and pull it the rest of the way. And then I'm just going to take this black down the back here best I can. And we want to shoot from directly above if we can, just because it makes the lines a little bit cleaner and we don't have all the overspray going down the side of the bait. So now we're going to shoot a little bit down the side here. Something like that. Same thing here. A little bit going down the side. A little bit there on the nose. And now I'm going to heat set this. If you're heat setting when you have fabric on, you can either let it dry or you can heat set it at a very low temperature with a hair dryer. But just be careful, don't melt your fabric. So that is what I'm going to do now. This is what it looks like after you get the scale pattern off. I'm going to touch it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you how I do that. These kind of lines here on the top are very bright. So what I like to do is back my airbrush down where it's not shooting a lot of pressure or a lot of paint. See if I can get this dialed in. Something about like that. And then I like to just lightly go over the marks that were left behind by the fabric. And it just tones them down, blends them a little bit. And you can make them just a little bit darker without actually losing the detail. So any spot that has just a lot of white, I'm just going to go over it and touch it up just a little bit and darken these up. Makes it look a little more natural, a little more even. Okay. It's looking pretty good. Now we have a little bit more of an even pattern. And what I'm going to do now is take my airbrush and I'm going to go around the nose and around that gill plate. Open this up a little bit more now. I'm not super great with my trigger, so I like to control the paint with the knob on the back. I just find it easier, and it keeps me from royally screwing up. Then we're going to black that in. Black a little bit of the head in there. And then we're going to put a shad dot on the side here in just a second. Okay, I like that. That looks good to me. And then what we're going to do, like I said, is put that shad dot on the side. So I'm going to heat set this real fast. Okay, we have our heat set done. You can see it looks pretty good. Now we're going to put the shad dot on the side. And I have a stencil for that. And I just tape up the ones that I'm not going to use. The one I have open right now is the one for my 7-inch glide bait. So we're going to go down a hair in size and not worry about shooting such a big dot on the side of this bait. I'll get this open and then we'll do that. Okay, I've got my stencil ready. You might make fun of me for all of the extra tape, but I've messed up enough baits that I just err on the side of caution and know my limitations. So we're going to go ahead and shoot this on here. And there is our shad dot. I like the regular shad dots. I feel like they look more natural because shad don't have perfectly round dots, so that looks pretty good. Okay, here is a look at the finished shad. Not too bad. It's very simple. This is a super easy pattern to paint. And when you put that 8-bit powder into the epoxy, you can just make this look like a really top-notch quality bait. And that's what I like about it. So that is the awesome shad there. And this is the awesome crawl. Just a little bit of chartreuse and red, something different. I make this same pattern usually with the orange bottom, but with a chartreuse, it just looks a little bit different. And I kind of like it. I think I might keep that color around a little bit more. But I'm going to put some UVLS on these and then go over to mixing some epoxy, and I'll show you guys the product once they get done drying. Okay, I have the epoxy top coat on these, which is a lure build 2-part epoxy, and then I put some 8-bit powders into the epoxy and brushed it on. Just gives it a nice little effect. It's really hard to pick this stuff up on the camera. I've got a little more purple on the shad and a little more red on the crawl, so we just kind of went with something a little bit different, something that I like to do here at the shop. And yeah, these look absolutely amazing. I will get these boxed up and headed out. There it is. Oh, good one. Decent fish. Oh, he spit it out. Holy crap. Well, there you go. It works. Oh, there's one. There's one. Oh, don't come off, buddy. Alright. Definitely no giant, but a fish on the GSauce shad pattern. I don't know what he calls this, but it's just a shad pattern. There's a good fish. Good fish. That or he's spinning. Could just be spinning. He's spinning. I got him hooked funny. I say, man, he feels good. Oh, quit that. Get in here. He might help me in my tournament. I actually think he is going to help me in my tournament. I'm in an online tournament. That's what this thing is on my hand. And they have to be 14 inches. And today's the first day, so I don't have anything in my bag yet. So, let's get this hook out of him. Thank you there, GSauce. Get that out. Thank you. Get this out. Okay. Alright. He's a little chunk. Not bad. He liked the crawl pattern quite a bit. Yeah, that fish liked the crawl pattern quite a bit. He choked it. Let's see if he's big enough to actually score. Let's see what we got here. Because if he's big enough... Oh, oh, nope. Nope. Really? Okay. Well, that's fine. He wasn't very big. He would have helped me, but yeah. Alright, that's awesome. Alright. There's another one. Okay. Probably not big enough to do any good, but we shall see. Nope. 13 and a half. Gotta be 14. Another one. Okay. Probably still not big enough. All right, guys, we got to do some fishing. It's kind of weird time to film outside right now. The action cameras, for some reason, they always are black, and black does not do that good in the heat. for whatever reason, they keep making them black. I know some people wrap them in aluminum foil or whatever. I haven't found a fix that keeps mine from overheating yet, so I really can only film the last 2 hours of the evening, which is fine. I caught some fish on some other stuff, caught some fish on the crankbaits from GSauceLureCo, and then I've got some stuff here to send back out to him and kind of get the lure swap wrapped up. You'll see in the fishing, I did lose a fish while I was trying to measure it. I really didn't think that fish was going to keep flipping. I figured it was going to stop on the deck like they normally do, and it wasn't an overly big fish, so I wasn't really worried about it. Well, it kind of surprised me and flipped all the way into the water, so you'll get a good laugh at that. And it's not really that big a deal. It was only a 15 or 16-inch fish. To compete in these tournaments that I've been in on the online series, you're pretty much going to have a 20-inch average or better for all of your fish. So a 15 to 16 isn't going to really help you in the long run. It might gain you a few places if you don't have very many fish, but for the most part, you're going to cull those out anyways. So, and that's a lake I don't usually fish that much. I've got a lot better lake, a lot closer to home. But I do get more bites at this other lake, but the average fish is pretty small. You catch a lot of 12s, 13s. There are some giant fish in that lake, but there's really not much in between. I feel like everything is either 12-inch to 15-inch or 22 plus. There's just nothing in that middle ground, and that can make it a little bit challenging. So definitely check out GSauceLureCo. I'll leave a link to his Etsy and his Instagram in the description below of this video. They made some awesome stuff. Everything held up good. All the crankbaits ran good. The hooks did good. So I have no complaints. I'm happy to send this stuff out to him. Along with this stuff I'm sending him, I'm going to be sending him some 3D stencils. If you are a hardbait painter and you paint S-cranks like I do, which is a very common square bill crankbait from Lure Build, I'm going to have a video on the channel on how to 3D print your own stencils. And they have a library. I think there's like 90-something designs in it. And you can print these very easily. I bought a 3D printer off a marketplace for 80 bucks, and it came with a roll of filament. And I've already printed, I don't even know, probably a dozen stencils. So it's pretty quick. Everything's working good. It's printing good. I don't think they're going to be any bit of an issue using them on these baits. I've put one on. I haven't painted with them yet. I'm going to do a little bit more testing, and then I'm going to make a video on it. If it's something that interests you, keep an eye out for that. But if you guys like the video, like and subscribe. It does help the channel out. We are well on our way to getting a little bit bigger, so I do appreciate you guys so much. Like and subscribe. Like I said, it does help the channel out tremendously. I appreciate everyone who watches, and I will catch you guys in the next video.